Hi there, Matthew. I'm back. So let's get started. Todd, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Matthew. How are you?
I am doing very well. And yourself?
Good. Considering the times we're in, but no, very, very good. I'm glad to be honest with you and all your partner friends.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Todd. And on that note, I'd like to extend an official welcome to all of our attendees today. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to attend, and of course, to attend also a week late. So today's webinar, as you all know, was scheduled to happen a week ago, last Thursday. For different reasons that I won't get into, we had to postpone that. It's in line with everything that's going on right now. And however, I'd still like to extend my sincere apologies for any inconvenience that this may have caused you. So I appreciate you guys taking the time to join us this week. So that being said, let's get started. Before I hand things over to Todd, let me just cover a couple points. So, of course, all of you are living through a difficult situation. I hope, of course, you, your family, friends, and colleagues are safe, and that you've adapted your business to be able to continue its operation within these difficult times. That being a remote workforce, not only for you and for your customers. I'd like to point out a few different resources that you may or may not be aware that are available to you from SureWeb as of last week. So last week we held a webinar on remote work and remote work capabilities and tools. And with that, we create a remote work guide that really allows both you and your customers to shift to a remote work environment. Of course, this is not an overnight process, but both you and your customers expect from you a plan to keep their teams connected, to keep projects on schedule, and to keep information both accessible and, most importantly, very secure. So SureWeb has put together a list of steps from identifying the requirements, setting the expectations, maintaining the communication, protect endpoints, and secure continuity through different initiatives and different solution technology or vendor solutions that we have available, from Microsoft Teams to enabling remote desktop solutions, to make sure the phones are ringing with a stable and reliable voice or UCAS or even SIP trunk solution, and of course everything around securing networks and retaining continuity of the business. Um, so I strongly encourage you, if you want to get your hands on these assets, and more are coming, but I encourage you at this point to reach out to your account manager, to reach out to sales at SureWeb, and ask for this information. And make sure to also ask for specific details around the different promotions that SureWeb has released to its partner community around remote work. So there's promotion on Teams, on our Cloud PBX telephony solution, on Bitdefender for security, Offers Protect, and also Nerdio for virtual desktop. Different NOC, brand new NOC partner services that SureWeb has released as well are also available for 90-day free. Some Performance Cloud IaaS and RDS solutions, also 90-day free trials, and some learning solutions. So a lot of stuff available from SureWeb to support our partners. More is coming, so reach out to your account manager to get your hands on that stuff. So that being said, I think, Todd, the ball is yours. Everyone, please join me in welcoming Todd.
Merci beaucoup, mon ami. That's about as French as I get. So let's get into this. So this is a web shop series of 6 web shops. The first one was all about what we call the CRP experience of how to become a cloud revenue producer. That was the first one 2 months ago. Last month, we spoke about how to create your business outcomes focused value proposition, which is hugely important for reasons you'll see in the next couple slides. Today, we're going to talk about something that's equally as important, which is how to define and target in detail your target personas. And it's all about this program of how to build a profitable high MRR, high value cloud business. This is something my firm didn't just invent. This has been in the makings, if you will, me working with partners for 20 plus years, including our first major client about 7 years ago, very major client, doing This exact business building model, although it's been refined, of course, over the past 7-8 years, with Google. Google hired us to do exactly this to all of their partners around the world. So there's a lot of experience in this of how to help you, the MSP, build again a profitable cloud practice, which I think we all can understand is where the world is or is going, and maybe of what's happening in the world. The acceleration of cloud adoption is going to increase. Today's web shop, again, how to select and define your target verticals. And I'm going to emphasize sub-verticals and personas, meaning the people within the organization, to sell your business-focused solutions. That's what today is all about. So let's have a couple setup slides. So what's the opportunity for you, or what's happening in the world? It's all about DX, digital business transformation. Every single business in the world, no matter how big or how small, must become a digital business. And again, what we're seeing in the world today is those that are digital businesses. And the one, maybe the first step is in enabling a remote workforce. Every single customer has to be able to do that to survive going forward. And there are many, many, many customers right now that are flat-footed because they aren't digital. And it's a $6 trillion business. So that's the opportunity. It isn't, cloud is your opportunity. It's the end customer opportunity that they have to be digital. And so what is needed? Well, this is arguably why SureWeb exists. SureWeb is the one-stop shop service provider that has everything required for your end clients to be digital. But here's the problem. The end clients don't know how to do that. They truly don't know how to do that. They need someone to help them do that. And that, whether you call yourself a trusted advisor or whatever words you want to use, that's you. The middleman here, and there's always been a middleman, if you will, the MSP, the VAR, what have you, between the vendor and the end client. But the middleman today is much, much, much more important, if you will, to the end clients than there has ever been. Because when the client reads about digital business transformation, reads about customer experience is king, reads about cloud, they don't know what to do. So I'm going to call you guys right now a cloud services brokerage. That's a Gartner term. They say whomever capitalizes on this, and I'm going to say morphs from an MSP to a cloud solutions provider, of course, with SureWeb, that is by far the biggest revenue opportunity in cloud, bar none. Those are Gartner's words. So that's your opportunity between everything SureWeb provides and that $6 trillion business. My guess here, and a lot of industry pundits are saying the same thing, today, March 26, 2000, is the start of what the serious acceleration for every company needing to be digital. So, but what are the cold, hard facts for you to capitalize on this? And these are simply facts. Fact number one, your cheese has moved. If anybody's ever read the book by Dr. Spencer Johnson, Who Moved My Cheese, a phenomenal, very, very easy read, short book. It is so powerful about cheese moves. And today, your cheese has moved. Your cheese used to be the IT person, has always been the IT person, the IT team. Today, 65% soon to be 90%, according to Forrester, of all technology purchases are going through non-IT folks. And a lot of the industry pundits, including myself, when I work with MSPs, one of the biggest challenges for the MSP is to understand that and go speak to the new cheese, the business managers. And what do these business managers, first off, I'll say don't want. They don't want someone to come in the door and talk tech. That's the easiest way for you to get kicked out. They don't want to talk tech. They want to talk business outcomes. They want someone that's going to go and say, and I'm also a huge fan of Dr. Stephen Covey, the late great Dr. Stephen Covey, and the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Habit number 2, begin with the end in mind with these business managers. Begin with the end in mind, their desired business outcomes. Habit number 5, seek first to understand, then to be understood. That's what they want. And in these conversations, it's not a technology conversation. It's a business outcomes conversation. And the good news is you're going from 1 buyer at a company to 3, 4, 5 buyers. The person that runs sales, the person that runs marketing, the person that runs finance, the CEO, and they all have budgets today. And today, your customers are buying cloud without you, I guarantee it. The last part, which is very, very important as well, is these business managers are smart. They're doing their homework. The CFO is having a glass of red wine at night. The kids are watching TV, and he or she is on his laptop and looking for business outcome solutions. They're getting educated. So when you go talk to them, you have to be a leader in education to them. So why are we talking about focusing on verticals and sub-verticals and personas? I'm going to give you a bunch of quotes here. The first I mentioned earlier from what Forrester is reporting. This is basically saying soon to be, well, it is 90%, according to Forrester, of the purchasing decisions and the budget are with these people called business managers. And you see here, sales, marketing, customer experience, finance, and so on and so on. This is what I reiterated earlier. The second, in the source for the rest of these quotes, comes from an outstanding Microsoft ebook they did with IDC some years ago. The Microsoft Modern Partner ebook series. You should really look it up. It is very powerful. IDC says the uncovered a positive relationship between recurring revenue and activity in industry verticals. They did a massive study with hundreds of their Microsoft partners, and those that are focusing on industry verticals are getting more MRR. Another one here from a consulting group, financial stability combined with vertical specialization and domain specialization are the big drivers of in value in mergers and acquisitions. Net, your company is worth more to a potential investor or acquirer if you are focusing on, if you are specializing in verticals. Another one, again, these are all quotes from this great ebook. The deeper your specialization, the fewer your competitors. That makes a lot of sense, right? If you're one to many, you're going to find a lot of one to many. If you specialize in some verticals and sub-verticals and get really good at it, you're going to, and you could potentially own that little vertical, sub-vertical in some geography. And I probably like this one the best. If you can't be big, specialize. And I have several of my clients, one is specializing in this sub vertical called specialty chemical companies. I never knew that existed, but boy oh boy, does that MSP know those specialty chemical companies. And there's like 5,000 in North America, and they can go into any one of those 5,000 and talk the talk and walk the walk and look the look. They're not going after a total addressable market of 1 million companies. It's 5,000. That's plenty to make a massive business. So that's kind of the why. So how do you start focusing on a vertical or a sub vertical and within these personas? I don't suggest that you just go and pick out, I'm going to go after regional banks of a certain size, or healthcare facilities or dental offices. What you need to do, and this was actually the last month's session, you need to figure out your inherent value. What is your inherent specialization? And this is really a look in the mirror of what is my MSP business really good at? And that's something no one can answer other than yourself. What we do with clients is the very first thing we do is we work with them and we use modeling tools like you see here. What you see in the yellow is what you fill in. It's a value proposition generator. So it's a tool to get you thinking, what is my inherent value that I'm so good at that I'm going to blow the customers away with our expertise? That's the very first thing you need to do. In today's world, the business personas want people that are experts and much smarter than the other MSP that is a generalist. They demand that. So your very first thing to do is to really figure out what your value is. So I really encourage you, if there's anything you get out of this session, start thinking through that, because that's really the basis for everything else. The second one is I encourage all of my MSP clients to select 3 verticals and sub-verticals. Maybe it's from your installed base. Maybe it comes out of your value proposition to say we have some expertise that is very applicable to financial institutions, but it's an onion. Okay, what type of financial institutions, what size, what location? The more defined you get in peeling away the onion and defining, like my client that does specialty chemical companies. I also have a client that does law firms that specialize in mergers and acquisitions. So the closer you get to defining this onion, the closer the more value you're going to be able to provide your clients. Again, it goes back to taking your expertise and then all of the content you create in marketing campaigns and so on, that to really focus on some verticals, sub-verticals. And as you notice in the middle of the onion, it's the personas or the titles. We're living in a business to persona world, not a business to business world. We ultimately, need to get to the middle of the onion and talk the talk and walk the walk to those business personas. But again, peeling away the onion and selecting 3 verticals and sub-verticals, and maybe you start with 1. But it's so important that specialization is key, and starting with your value proposition and then going and selecting these verticals and sub-verticals. Next, so how are you going to find them? This is something that we do with our clients all the time. And of course you find them, you have existing customers, right? And you have some specialization amongst all of those. But now there are millions of businesses out there, again, that need to be digital. So you need to go find new customers. And that's become really, really hard. One way that we recommend doing that is using LinkedIn Sales Navigator. It's a great, great tool to find your onion. So here, it happens to be an example of one of the clients that we work with. We defined the onion. It was the law firms, mergers and acquisitions, and so on, in a geography, and we ran a search in LinkedIn Sales Navigator to find those companies. And then this is the basis for doing some education and thought leadership outreach to the middle of the onion, the titles that are we believe are most resonate to our value proposition. So this is a great way to take your value proposition, to go after the onions, if you will, and to go find them and to go show them how smart you are about their particular business. Next thing we want to do, and this goes back to my statement that we're living in a business to persona world. So the onion over here has the core is the titles, right? We're going after the managing partner at this law firm, or the senior partner and the CFO, just as an examples, okay? Now we need to create, and these are again modeling tools that we use, much like the value prop modeling tool. Because we're selling to these people, we need to understand them. In our messages, our messaging, our webinars, our email campaigns, or whatever we're doing to go after these guys, we need to understand what's in their head and who they are. This is the new world of selling. It's business to persona. How many times do you get insane emails, texts, phone calls from someone trying to sell you something that is completely irrelevant to me? Completely irrelevant to me. That is 99% of all outreach today, is just playing the numbers game. And I really laugh at the people that are trying to sell me something where I know they haven't researched me whatsoever. They're spraying and praying. And not only does that not work and the ROI is zero, it also hurts your brand. It really, really does. So you need to go in the middle of the onion. Who are the people that we're going to target because we feel comfortable that we can talk the talk and walk the walk with them? These are 3 examples. Of the one on the left is the head of sales and marketing. The one in the middle is a COO, the customer success person, and the one on the right is a CEO. Whatever the titles are that are most applicable to your onion, you need to really, and all the questions in here are you knowing what they are. What are their pain points? What's the day in their life? Because again, our messaging out to them needs to speak to them. It needs to speak to them like, we know who you are, we know your business, we know your pain points, and they will be blown away. We did a recent campaign with one of my clients to the specialty chemical companies. We were going after the COO as one of the personas. And we did a LinkedIn Sales Navigator campaign to the COO of these specialty chemical companies. And one of the immediate feedbacks we got was, you're not like everybody else trying to sell to me. You sound like you really know my business. And so your hit rate is, we're not going after quantity here, we're going after quality. Because they want to hear from someone that speaks the speak and not just spraying and praying. This is vitally, vitally important. So another part of this, so what are we going to provide them? So we have the value proposition. We got that nailed pretty good. Okay, we've defined our onions, okay, the verticals, the sub-verticals, and so on. We have the persona defined in terms of CEO, CFO, or what have you. Now, what do they want? They want someone that's not, first of all, that's not going to talk tech. Okay, again, it's seek first to understand, then to be understood, begin with the end in mind. But they're going to want to talk to someone that has a solution for them at the end of the day. And it's not technology based solutions. It's these concept of bundled cloud-based services or technologies in your services, specific for the finance staff. It's almost like going to a restaurant and there's a preset meal for the vegetarian, if you will, or a preset meal for the person that's going to eat the 6-pound steak. These are preset, these are really based on for conversation. You can go to the finance, the VP of finance or the VP of marketing or whatever, and you can talk about these set meals, if you will, or bundles, because we're smart, because we know your business, Mr. or Mrs. Head of Sales. So we've created these bundles, but these bundles can change. Like you go to the restaurant and I can not have potatoes, I can have rice. But this going into your persona and talking their language and showing that you have solutions because you know their problems. The person that runs marketing's problems are different than the person that runs finance's problems. And we have preset solutions, but again, they could be customized with your managed services, with training specific to them, with consulting, with virtual CIO. This is really, really important. And this is kind of the core of, we've gone through this whole process. Now we have the people in the restaurant, we have the right meals for them because we know who's coming into our restaurant. And this is where you work really, really hard with the SureWeb people to help design these persona-specific bundles. Call them solutions. With your wraparound solutions that are specific for these personas, to these staff. So we know all this stuff. We need to go find them. Here are examples of onion and persona-specific content. This happens to be email sequences we put together for one of our MSP clients, all very, very personalized. Hi, Mr. Mrs. You are the VP of sales at ABC company. Blah, 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 blah. And it's all educational, all educational. It talks digital business transformation. And again, these are just examples. These happen to be talk digital business transformation and customer experience. which of course happens to be a huge, huge topic right now. The message here is these are very well specific and customized because you've created your onion, your verticals and subverticals. You've identified the personas. So these messages go out specific to those personas and those verticals and subverticals. It takes more time, but your hit rate is dramatically better. The mass emails to let's spray and pray are gone. And again, it's going to hurt your brand. So all the work you've done from the value prop and personas and everything, this is the culmination in terms of some type of just examples of email content that's very specific, and it shows how smart you are to these people because you're talking their language. And what comes from this is all of the other content needed to do your marketing outreach. So well, I like to keep these short and sweet. The kind of the key message here, and that was really in the very first was set of a couple slides. If you can't be big, specialize. Your cheese has moved. It's the business managers. The spraying and praying doesn't work, and the more you specialize, and this is just a fact, the more money you can get from your clients. They will spend more money with you if you are really good at solving their business problems. They are going to be much stickier. But this is a process that you really need to go through. That's extremely important for you to be in cloud. The quote unquote old days of selling technology to the IT people, the same technology fundamentally is the same at a law firm, selling the same stuff at a manufacturing facility, and so on and so on. Fundamentally, it's the same. When you're talking about cloud and solutions, specialization is king. What we do, and this is an offer, I do these all the time, is to help you understand where you are at in your journey to become what we call a cloud revenue producer. And it's based on the five pieces of the pie I showed in the very beginning. Value proposition, again, we did last month. Right now we're talking persona. Next month we're going to be talking about creating these bundles. The month after that we're going to talk about how to refresh or update your website for today's digital world. And the last session in 3 months from now, we're going to be talking about what does my digital marketing plan look like, and how does it correlate to my MRR financial model. So the offer is a 30-minute one-on-one free assessment of your business today, and you rate yourself for each of these 5 buckets of questions on a scale of 1 to 5 for each. Total is a 25. 30 minutes. We talk through this. I ask you a bunch of questions. You rate yourself and come up with a score. I will tell you, again, I've done about 100 or so in the past 12 months. I did a cohort analysis on this about a month ago. Of a total of 25, the average is an 11.9. And this shows the MSP the gap analysis, if you will, of what he or she needs to do to become a cloud revenue producer. Maybe my value proposition is way off and I scored a 1. Or maybe my website, I scored a 1 because, oh my God, it just talks technology. So here's my free offer to you. I also have a free offer with the Sure Web guys and gals to do a follow-up call after this assessment, and I would give you recommendations. Matthew?
Thank you, Todd. That was great. Really insightful, very valuable, and relevant, I think, to partners and MSPs, VARs, whatever you call yourself, the transition from break fix to recurring revenue to include and be cloud first are transformations that all of our partners are still going through today at some point or another. So very relevant stuff. I did mention at the beginning of the webinar that you could ask questions. Of course, as I said in the chat, drop your questions in the question section of the meeting settings tab here, and it'll be our pleasure to answer them. And there are a few. So Todd, are you ready?
You got it.
All right. So the first one here is, let's see, what are the top vertical or sub verticals for cloud, specifically for cloud?
I get that question all the time. Um, there isn't one. That's the quick answer. Um, nor should you think about what are the top verticals, sub verticals, i.e., the low hanging fruit. Because if it were law firms, just to pick one, which again, I don't have, there's no answer. If it were law firms, but you can't, if you have no expertise or ability to talk to a law firm, even minimally, you probably, it's going to take you a long time to be successful there. It goes back to you looking in the mirror and you understanding, again, maybe it's you didn't even know it, but of your 100 customers, maybe 25 are healthcare facilities, and you maybe didn't know it, and say, wow, we're really smart with healthcare facilities. So maybe that's your first onion. This goes back to, you have to figure this out. And again, when we work with clients, we help them figure this out, because it's inherent that you chase what you are comfortable chasing versus what you think is the hottest market.
Mhm.
I
Well,
hope that makes sense.
Well, it does, and it ties into another question I see here, which is quite simply, so what does it take to have a specialization? It's more than just putting a vertical on your website or a specific industry that you specialize in, right? What does it take behind the scene to truly be in a position to deliver that brand promise, if you will, to that vertical?
So you have to go through the exercise of everything I've been talking about here, to be successful selling to the M&A law firms, right? You have to go through the steps I just walked you through. Um, you have to create your value proposition to them. You have to select them. You have to have the right messaging to them. You have to have the right 5-slide PowerPoint deck to them. You have to, on your website, speak a bit about them. So you have to start looking like, and speaking the speak of we understand your business,
Mhm.
um, and not I have the greatest technology for you.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
it,
because
it
specialization could happen through, as you said, looking at your existing customers and finding out,
exactly
oh, I have more customers than I thought in this
exactly.
area. Let me look into it. And that's another question here, and it ties in nicely. It's how do you find out what the specific needs of a persona are?
Yep,
Um,
yep.
so,
So again, this you have to. There's a research part of there. Well, there's a look in the mirror part. Okay, so I have a client that happened to um, be kind of self-educated, if you will, and working with clients to help the sales people be more productive. And so they didn't really think through it, but boy, we have one of our engineers that really knows what salespeople need to be productive. And today, I think one of the, call this I think this is a persona today. It's a remote worker. We all know in the technology world what it takes for a remote worker to be productive. We all do. But the business owner is clueless today. Think about it this way. Today, the business people are not digital and they don't know how to get there. So we're already 10 times smarter than them. So understanding the needs of these personas is really, and that's why we have one of the worksheets here, or these persona worksheets, is really, you're smart. You're really smart. You know, to a certain extent, what it takes for a sales department to be successful and what technology should be in that bundle. I don't think that's that hard to understand. But if I were an MSP today, and I'm not talking a vertical or sub-vertical that is the hot one to go after. I'm talking about the persona for every vertical and sub-vertical to be successful. They have to enable a remote workforce, and they don't know how to do it. They don't know how to do it. Don't think that they do. They don't know how to do it effectively, because it's not just saying, here's a laptop and go home. There are many aspects. Endpoint security, right? There are maybe there's other aspects of cybersecurity, but there's a stack, if you will, and I believe SureWeb has gone through this in the past week or so. There's a stack of things that you can provide that persona. So you already know 10 times more than the client does about how to enable that certain persona.
Hmm. That's great. And the remote work guide that I made reference to, folks, at the beginning of the call, is in the handouts section of this meeting. So just go check it out, expand it. You can download it, and so is Todd's CRPexperience web shop one pager. So it just kind of it highlights this process and this assessment. Um, and I just wanted to add to what you were saying. So from working with many partners over the last decade as well throughout these topics and these transitions, uh, it takes research. There's no question about it. It takes a look at your existing customer base. It takes a look at what services you give. It takes then research to go. So once you think you have a potential target as a vertical identified or two, you need to start reaching out, ideally to one of your good customers within that vertical, and ask them.
Exactly,
Find out,
exactly.
find out like what kind of people work here, who is using what tools, what are they day to day like, and how do they rely on technology? What are the current pain points that each of these individuals within your business has? And you'd be surprised, but a lot of customers are more than willing to spend some time and give you those
Absolutely.
insights. And some, you could give them a little perk or a little something, if you will. But at the same time, talking to your best customers with whom you have a great relationship with gives you a lot of those answers, because specialization, folks, it's not just about IP. You don't have to have your own in-house developers and have developed specific IP and software or workflows to connect to other applications for a specific vertical need to have a specialization. But what you
That's
do need.
why Stephen Covey is so important here. What you just described is begin with the end in mind with your clients and seek first to understand, then to be understood. Customers love talking about their business, love doing it. And as technology people, and I've been in this business a long time, um, to the traditional technology provider, just call it an MSP, hasn't had to do that before. They really haven't. They haven't had to go with begin with the end in mind with the business person, seek first to understand, then to be understood. It's amazing how much they will talk about it and what you will learn and do a couple of those sessions. And boy, oh boy, you're going to learn there's a thread here. Boy, these sales managers really have a lot of problems. I really didn't understand that well, but I really understand it now. And the sales manager at vertical A has the same problems with us as a sales manager at vertical B.
Excellent. Well, that's great information. And just a couple other questions came in here. The meeting is, of course, recorded and will be sent all of you with the associated assets and resources that Todd made reference to in his presentation. So rest assured, all of that information will be sent out to you. Going through the questions here, make sure I didn't miss anything. There's chat, there's questions, there's lots of different spots. So no, I think that's it, Todd. So
Okay.
closing remarks, anything you'd like to add before we wrap things up?
I I I don't want to use the word plead. I will say I strongly encourage everyone on the line here. I've been in the uh, MSP business, if you will, working with MSPs and VARs to help them build their business to a healthy business. You know, everything we're talking about, including, you know, doing marketing campaigns and so on and so on and so on. I think today that what's happening is there is a huge, huge wake up call with millions of businesses in the world that they've been thinking about cloud, they've been thinking about being digital. In the unfortunate events that are happening, I know for a fact, because I'm being told this by my MSP clients, that they are having conversations that are, I the client understands that they need to be digital, and working with SureWeb and all of everything they can offer, but you have to go through the process of your value prop. If you don't have, when you talk technology, you got to go nowhere. You know, this conversation right here, which is all about business managers and personas, you got to do that. So I encourage you, please, um, give me a shout. We'll go through the assessment. 100% of the MSPs that go through the assessment say, Todd, really thank you so much. You educated me. That's my offer to you via our partnership with SureWeb, because I think time is really of the essence for the MSP to really start going to clients and helping them to become digital. Because if it's not you, it's going to be somebody else.
That's absolutely right. And in a closing statement, let me remind everyone that this is an exclusive offer from Todd to SureWeb Partners. So do take Todd up on his free cloud business assessment, screen share session and follow-up call that is unique and only available to SureWeb Partners. And then through that process, Todd will be able to give recommendation. And also, if you need help executing, so Todd has services within Cloud Revenue Producer, line card of services that can help you as well. So check it out, or reach out to your account manager and we'll put you in touch. So on that note, thank you so much, Todd. Thank you everyone for your time today. I hope you appreciated the content, and we will see you 3 weeks from now for the next webinar on your cloud bundles. Thanks everyone, and stay safe. Wash your hands. Take care.
Thanks, guys. Bye bye.